What is going on, fam? Thank you very much for tuning in. Today, we're going to be talking about my book, Who the Fuck Am I? Now, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you leave a comment if there was something that you do or do not agree with. Either case, I want to know a little bit about your feedback. If you haven't already, I do have a book summary of what I'm going over in Who the Fuck Am I? But today's video, we're going to be talking about what I was thinking when I was writing my book and who it's for primarily. Because the book summary is nothing more than you explained what the contents are without actually having to read it. Here, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the back end, the marketing and the publishing kind of stuff that most writers don't really talk about, just so you understand what my thought process was when I was creating this book. So initially, what happened is I started this online business, this blog, about 2018 in July, I believe. And I had the impression of creating professionals. Now, I was still in the menswear styling game, but I got out just because I felt like I did have imposter syndrome and I couldn't come up with new content. I felt like I was just copying what everybody else was doing, and I knew for sure I needed to make a change. At the time, it took me forever for my blog. I had business development, personal development. The copy was terrible. And once I started learning about copywriting and all that stuff, I realized that I needed to create clarity with my messaging. So this happens for 2018, 2019. I go into 2019 and I realized that I still was not receiving the traction that I needed. It wasn't until 2019 when I offered somebody resume writing help or career coaching services, and it worked. And I did that on spec. That particular testimonial, that particular case study, I actually made my first dollar. I literally asked them for $1 after helping them with everything that I was doing. And pushing forward, I ended up helping a few more people when I went to this writing group. I went to a writing group to essentially get out of my head and continue focusing on my book. Now that we've assessed that, how did I end up creating Who the Fuck Am I? Like, how did this ever come across anywhere? Initially, it was going to be one of those 25-page PDF guides, those bullshit ones that you can buy for $30, and it's just recycled information. That's initially what I was going to do. And I was talking about style, and I was talking about communication, but I didn't believe in that. And then I don't know what I did. Sometimes I go through these phases where I just kind of get up and go. What I did was I decided to write a book, and there was this, I think I saw an ad about how to write a book or how to publish an ebook or something like that, like an official ebook on Amazon, and I thought it was going to be like rocket science. Turns out it's not. So I ended up writing 25,000 words. Initially, I think I only had like 5,000. But again, the situation at hand was I didn't want to be an imposter. I needed to make a change. I think I came across Self-Publishing School podcast. I'll post a link down in the description on Spotify because that's what I use. And I just started writing and writing and writing. And after 3 months, again, I kind of just went all in, and then I found a writing group because I felt like I was hitting writer's block, and it just got really, really difficult for me. So I did that for an additional 5 months. So 3 months, 5 months. And by the time you know it, when September came around, I was able to publish this. I actually published the ebook before that, but the problem was that the ebook was only 80 pages. And Amazon was going to charge me like $7 just to publish that book because there were so little pages. I had to make 110 pages in order for a solid paperback. And so that's when I realized, when I listened to that podcast, 25,000 words equals approximately 110 pages. I think this one is 101 by Amazon standards. So I figured, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to fluff it. I'm going to give you the core fundamentals of what you're doing or what you need to do in your life. I used Readsy as a free resource. I outsourced the cover, so the cover was there. But unfortunately, the front and back cover was not sufficient enough for Amazon standards. So it took me like 3-4 weeks for me to be able to upload the cover of this, and then I had to design the back here and the back here. So it was a complete nightmare publishing my first paperback book, but now that I have all these preset stuff established, it's going to be easier for me. So that was the process of me writing my book. It was supposed to be a bullshit 25-page PDF worksheet or downloadable, and I was going to sell that for $10, but obviously I decided to go above and beyond and write an actual book. Now I've published Who the Fuck Am I, and then I've worked on publishing my second book, which is just an ebook. It's I'm About to Fucking Lose It. Signs your job is causing you to be on the verge of a nervous breakdown. But again, this book is tailored to two different people, two specific people, depending on their age range and their demographic. If you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, more or less, and you feel like you can do more in life, you felt like you've been going through the motions, it's the same old shit, different day, or you're responding to your colleagues, oh, just hanging in there, I'm like, oh, you know, that kind of stuff, you're going through a midlife crisis most of the time, and this book is designed to help you get out of hypnosis. I took some fundamental things from The Matrix about how it's not what everybody else seems. You're following the flock. You need to be different. You need to be eccentric. You need to break away from mainstream America, because it has you under this stage of hypnosis. So again, 30 to 50, the midlife crisis. That's not all it's tailored to. It's also tailored to the 20-year-old who believes that they're supposed to have everything in life. So if you're between 20 and 30, right, the way I designed it was based on, it was more of an objective view than a subjective view. So if you're 20, the reason why you're going through a midlife crisis is because you followed that for 10, 15, 20 years, right? Midlife crisis, you're 20 and you're now 40, you're going through a midlife crisis. Well, the question is that how did it go back to when you were 20? So now you have to do things with intention if you're 20 years old. If you pick this up and you're a 20-year-old, you're going to realize how much you do not know about the world. You're going to realize that everything that you're focusing on is literally the opposite of what you should be focusing on. And that is why if you don't read this book and you go 20 years of whatever it is that you're currently doing, you go through the midlife crisis. So it's essentially it's a tool to help you overcome it, and it's a tool for help you prevent it. In how I've scripted it, the way I wrote it was essentially by assessing a personality disorder. Now, this is by no way a treatment plan. This is by no way a diagnosis. But how someone would be able to assess a personality disorder, just these common behaviors that are fucking your everyday life, that's how I crammed it into here, was by putting certain structures of, this is what you're going to say because I said this, and you're going to object to this, when really you just don't want to hear this, so you should do this, that kind of stuff. And so that's essentially how I was able to create Who the Fuck Am I? And I created a book. I've had 40-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds tell me that this book is one of those that they wish they read it sooner. Obviously, I just wrote it, but for me to be able to get feedback from people who are much older than me, they realize, like, you are a really old soul, and this is something that if you are going through a shit show, you definitely want to read to overcome that shit show or prevent future ones. So that is essentially the whole broad overview of Who the Fuck Am I? A perfectly imperfect guide to become woke at life, discover your purpose, and scale your potential. I do have it set up on Kobo, but again, it just really depends. Are you looking for an ebook or an actual book? But I will tell you what, if you order my book, I promise you something. If you order my book and you send me a DM or you leave a comment saying that you ordered my book, you take a picture of that receipt that you ordered my book and you send it to me, I will personally give you a handwritten letter from me thanking you. I wish I could give more, but of course, when you read this book, there's a whole lot of value that you're going to get by default and a few freebies along the way. The cool thing is you could also get in touch with me. You'll be able to personally get in touch with me, not just on social media, but like with me, if that's something that you really want to do. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I am now on Pinterest, Tumblr, and LinkedIn. I am also on TikTok. Until next time, guys, stay tuned. Take care.